I decided to come outdoors today and see if I could get a good video of the background of where I live. I moved down in the median trying to get away from the sound of the traffic on Richmond Road. I just hope it doesn't interfere with my speaking. I hope you're able to understand and can see the beauty of the trees and the houses behind me. I'm sitting on one of the park benches that they have down through the median on Hanover Avenue. Looks like the wind's going to get my hair. This is Memorial Weekend. I've spent a whole week trying to think of a story to tell. I've already placed a story on Facebook. If you follow Facebook, I hope you will look it up. It's called Memorial Day. This is what it's all about. I think you will enjoy that story. It's not really written by me. It's written by my brother. My brother served in World War II and died in 1943. And through his letters, I have written a column. Please look it up. I think it will be of interest to you. I'm going to go to a lighter side of Memorial Day this time. I hate for everything to be so sad. I know people are traveling many miles today just to get to a cemetery where there are loved ones. I hope their driving is very safe. I'm going to go back to World War II. This is about me and my sisters. It was in the days of love letters. Oh, how we loved those love letters, and how I think they will be missed now and in the future. There's nothing like pulling open the strings or the ribbon from a package of love letters and rereading them. Those are things you never throw away. They are part of your past history. Now, this was just before we moved to Tennessee, where my dad got a job in Oak Ridge, where they were working on the Manhattan Project. Oak Ridge, the city behind the fence. One of my older sisters, just out of high school, she was working at the dime store, and she had a boyfriend in the Navy. They corresponded. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with them or not, but back then, girls had little cedar chests. Those little cedar chests about, let's see, they were about this big. They sat on your bedroom dresser, right in the center of the dresser. I think we can continue now that the fire trucks have gone by. This little cedar chest had a lock on it. Well, I can tell you right now, that lock meant nothing to someone who wanted to get into that cedar chest and see what was there. It was one that held letters. I have to keep track of the traffic here too, so that you'll hear what I say. Okay, her boyfriend was in the Navy, and she was corresponding with him, and she kept her love letters in that little cedar chest. Now, if you think that a little lock on a dresser cedar chest is going to keep the curious sisters out of that box, no, you're on the wrong planet. The two younger sisters were in high school then, and they decided one day they were going to read the older sisters' love letters. Well, their friend Harold was with them, and Harold was game for anything. Harold was the young man that stayed with us that night when Daddy was working out of town and out of state. Mama was afraid without a male figure in the house. Well, he was in high school. What did Harold know? What could Harold do? But he was funny. He kept us laughing all the time. So there was Harold and these two sisters. They are going through little cedar chest. They get it open. Okay, one letter at a time. They begin reading the letters, and they come to one that has them rolling in the floor laughing. Later in the day, the older sister gets off work at the dime store. She comes home, and these three comedians decide to go through the house. And what do they sing? They're singing a little something like this. I'm getting tired and I think I'll go to bed. Over and over they said that. Well, that signaled the older sister, you've been reading my love letters. I'm going to kill you. Now, when a sister makes a threat like that, she means it. This is serious stuff when you read someone else's love letters. So she had to hide the cedar chest again. Shortly after that, Daddy got a job in Oak Ridge, where the Manhattan Project was taking place, and everybody all over the United States was moving to that area to get jobs. Well, these two sisters and their shenanigans, they're now like junior and senior in high school. Now, something you may not know is that in those days, if you were still in high school when you turned 18, they didn't let you finish your high school years and get your diploma before they inducted you into the military. As soon as you had that 18th birthday, you went into the Army. So the younger sister's boyfriend put on his military uniform, and he was in the Army now. These two sisters shared one bed in bedroom, and the one next to me, we shared a cot. We slept at each end of that cot like this. We fit perfectly on that cot. So one night, the older sisters started arguing. The one boyfriend was in the Army. The other one was still in high school. His name was Smitty. Well, in the course of the conversation, whispering, the one with the boyfriend in the Army said, Smitty's a draft dodger. Well, you might as well have pulled out a gun and shot that other sister in the head. She was not going to stand for that. They started fighting under the cover. They knew they had to be quiet because you didn't want to wake Daddy. There'd be another war. So they're whispering, and they get a little louder and a little louder. And it wakes my sister sleeping with me. And she hears this, Smitty's a draft dodger. And then she hears the other sister saying, I'm gonna choke you to death. The first sister starts coughing. That's all it took. She was coughing. Oh my gosh, she's being choked to death. The sister in bed with me, she jumps up, grabs the string. You know, the light bulb was in the ceiling, and you had a long string. She grabbed that string, turned on the light, and started yelling, "I'm gonna tell Daddy, I'm gonna tell Daddy." Well, those two girls jumped out of that bed. One grabbed her by the mouth, slammed her hand over her mouth so Daddy wouldn't hear her in the next bedroom. And then they were both on the same side trying to calm down this sister. That's the way it was in high school. All right. The boyfriend went off to the Army. His birthday came December of that year. He turned 18. The Army took him. Time for more love letters. The love letters came almost every day. Well, two little sisters, 8 and 10 years old, get curious one day. They find the shoebox that contained those incoming letters from the boyfriend. Well, let's read his letters. We got behind the couch. Now, they were in script, and I was too young. I couldn't read script. So the other sister, she read the letters to me. And each time she would read a letter, she'd put it back in the envelope, and she'd lay it down on the floor. One by one, the letters were lined up on the floor. We didn't notice. Our living room windows were small, high windows, so anyone passing on the street or on the sidewalk, we wouldn't see them. Suddenly, we heard the front door open. Oh, it was too late, too late. In walked the sister and spotted us with her love letters lined up on the floor. Wow. It might as well have been a volcano erupting. It was that bad. I was scared out of my wits. I didn't know what she was going to do. And of course, the first thing she said is, "I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you." Again, we needed Mama's protection this time. Mama was there. Now, settle down, settle down. Okay, there goes that hiding place. Gotta find another hiding place for the love letters. Years go by, and even I'm writing the love letters. I had a boyfriend in the Coast Guard. He was stationed at Alexandria, Virginia. Every day, I wrote a letter. And every day, I used my quarter allowance that Mama gave me each week to buy a 5-cent postage stamp to mail my letters. Now, some days, I couldn't wait for the postman to get to the house to deliver my letter from my boyfriend. So I walked across town to the post office. That was a long walk, but I could read the letter sooner if I picked it up at the post office instead of waiting for the postman to deliver it in our box on the front porch. Eventually, after I married, I took a look at those letters, and they all said the same thing. You know what love letters are like. They all said the same thing. I said, I don't need these anymore. I've already got the man. So there was a big oil, I guess you call them oil can, that they used to burn garbage in. The love letters went out to the garbage can, and I struck the match, and that was the end of my love letters. One time of several years ago, a friend handed me a box. I'm talking a big box of letters. They were from her grandfather to his girlfriend before he married her. He was a very interesting man. He was an educated man, and he lived in the area of Lexington, Richmond. So she asked me if I would take those letters. They were getting musty and smelly, and they'd been in a basement, damp basement, but she wanted to keep the letters. So I told her I would transfer all of these letters on the computer for her. And it took me weeks. But it was amazing what I learned in those letters about this man. He was a very interesting person, and the kind of letters that a person should keep. They were a part of our history. Everything he told had something to do with the history of the town or the state. Today, it makes me sad to think that there will be no more love letters. Everything done on a cell phone, or you can pick up the telephone and call. But there's no record of the affection and the communication and the stories that could be told that would be interesting to the next generation. They could see what life was like during those days. They won't have that chance. I remember going to the cemetery when I was a kid. I was the one in the family that made the crepe paper roses. And when you went to the cemetery on Memorial Day, you went on that day. You didn't go 2 or 3 days before or sometime during the week. Nowadays, you see them for 3 or 4 days going in and out of the cemetery, but they don't know each other. In those days, everybody knew you, or they knew someone in your family, and there was lots of conversation, lots of tears, lots of laughter, and also lots of food. They brought their picnic baskets. They brought the best dishes that they knew how to make, and everyone shared. The ministers around town, they had a stand built around one of the largest trees in the cemetery, and the ministers in the local area would take turns speaking. And of course, my mother and daddy loved that, but my sister and I, we kind of wandered off. But I can remember sitting in the living room making red crepe paper roses to cover my brother's grave. I believe in those days, if a family did not have the money for a tombstone in a private cemetery, the government provided about $250 they would pay for a small tombstone. One of those tombstones stood at the head of my brother's grave. It stood there so long that it was getting hard to read the lettering. My older sister decided it was time for a new tombstone. She wrote to the government asking for the money that they provided, and they sent it to her. She added to that, and a new tombstone was erected and placed at the head of my brother's grave. Today, there's a little red and white and blue flag at the head of his grave. You see, we have a lot of sirens going up and down the street. Who knows what they're there for? Most of them are for medical reasons. But you get used to hearing that when you live where I am, right on Main Street and Richmond Road in Lexington. I'm in the historic district of town. In fact, this spring, my neighborhood celebrated its 100th birthday. There were signs in the front yards of all of the houses that were built 100 years ago. I enjoyed seeing that, and they are beautiful homes. I don't know where to go with this story now. I think I've said enough about Memorial Day. It's just one of those things I couldn't come up with a good story to tell. I wanted something with a little bit of humor in it. I'm tired of being sad. I can't change what was, but I can hope and pray for what's coming in the future. And I definitely hope the Lord is hearing my prayers and all the prayers that are being said today. And I know there are many, many. There are families in Texas that are mourning their children. I don't even want to speak of that because I'll break out in tears. And as my daughter would say, Mom, please don't cry. I want to leave with a smile. I want you to go to Facebook and I want you to read my latest post. Look for it. It's worth it. You will be glad you read it. So enjoy your memorial. I won't call it a holiday. I don't think it is a holiday. It's just a day that we should remember. Remember. One more car going by, and I want to turn my camera a little if I can and let you see what's behind me. Look down the street. I can't tell. See all those beautiful trees? See if I can get on one of the houses. I'm going to come back this way. Now I'm going to turn. I'm going to turn and see if we can get the houses across the street. That one right there, in a big storm, had one of these huge 100-year-old trees fall on it. They had quite a bit of reconstruction to do on that house. You see this tree right in front of me? I think that's one of the Japanese dogwood trees. They're beautiful, beautiful. Most of our blossoms are gone and waiting for the roses and your summer. Well, look, watch what I'm doing. I'm making a mess here. Watch for me again on YouTube. I'll try to come up with some stories that you'll like. And please observe all those that have died before us, that served in our service. And we're here because of their sacrifices. Thank you for watching me today. I'll see you soon. Got to get my little clicker out so I can get us off here.